Hello and good morning. Welcome to the studio here at News Channel Nebraska. It is Friday, March 1st, and be sure to wish the lovely state of Nebraska a happy birthday. The great state was founded in 1867. Founded in 1999, however. I'm your anchor, Andrew Pfeiffer, with the latest headlines from across the state. 4 people and a dog were displaced following a South Lincoln house fire on Thursday. According to Lincoln Fire and Rescue, the attic and back of the home were fully engulfed in flames. Additionally, the roof and garage had collapsed. The 4 people and a dog were able to safely evacuate the home.
And once the roof collapsed, from the back side, it's pretty much all burned out.
The house was on fire for about an hour before it was declared under control. The fire appeared to have started on an outdoor porch and spread due to the high wind conditions. LFR said the ignition source is still under investigation. 2 adults were displaced after a house fire in Columbus on Thursday afternoon that was linked back to a fire pit. Columbus Fire was alerted to the call just after 2 o'clock Thursday to a residence on fire in the 2500 block of 26th Avenue. The single-family home with heavy fire involvement on the rear of the house. The fire was linked to an unattended fire pit and was considered accidental. The house fire occurred close to Columbus Middle School, and school district officials asked for parents to use alternate routes for pickup. And Fire Chief Ryan Gary is asking for residents to take into account the weather before using fire pits, and no one was injured in the fire. Lincoln police closed off an area near the Capitol building after a car was flipped onto its top. Take a look at this. It happened around noon near the Capitol building. It's reported to be a 2-vehicle crash with 1 car taking front end damage and another car being completely overturned on its head. Lincoln police say 1 person was hospitalized with non-life-threatening injuries and another was cited in the crash for a traffic violation. Nebraska City and Dunbar firefighters were dispatched Thursday afternoon for a grass fire pushed by 40-mile-per-hour wind gusts. The wind pushed the fire from grassland towards a stubble field where farmers had used tractors to disc a dirt perimeter ahead of a quick-moving fire. After an hour, firefighters prevented the fire from jumping to the other grassy fields nearby. The Nebraska Forest Service has Nebraska from O'Neill and Broken Bow to Falls City in extreme danger for rangeland today. The man accused of killing his cellmate in 2020 was found not guilty by reason of insanity. 44-year-old Angelo Bowl faced a single count of first-degree murder of killing 21-year-old Kevin Carter in November of 2020. On Wednesday, Judge Lori Merritt found Bowl not guilty, but the case is not yet to be closed. Court officials will review evidence, and the court will determine if Bowl is a danger to himself or others on March 20th. Bowl is currently serving a life sentence for the murder of a 34-year-old woman back in 2014. Grand Island police arrested a man early on Thursday morning after he fired a shotgun from an apartment. Authorities say the shooting started on Wednesday evening from a Grand Island apartment. The bullets hit a tow truck, windows at a repair shop, and a pickup with a woman shooting in it and other vehicles. No one was hurt. 28-year-old Troy Benkin returned to his apartment and refused to leave until authorities got a warrant. Grand Island police arrested him on 6 felony counts. An Omaha woman is being accused of smuggling meth for an inmate at the Reception and Treatment Center in Lincoln. 40-year-old Alicia Kane is charged with 1 count of distributing and another felony count of unlawful acts. Nebraska State Patrol were told that a visitor was bringing contraband during a visit. An investigator was given 2 plastic-wrapped balls containing a white crystal substance. Authorities say the inmate requested the meth be brought during the visit, and Kane allegedly purchased it on Saturday and hid it in her belly button. Kane is scheduled to appear in court in March. The city of Norfolk has been nominated to compete in the 9th annual Strongest Town contest. The contest is a bracket-style competition with winners advancing based on the number of votes they receive. Norfolk will go head-to-head against other towns beginning on March 4th. With votes being cast online, 1 champion will be honored at the Strong Towns National Gathering. Besides an award, the winning town will have a short documentary film created about the town. To vote, you can visit strongesttown.com. Leaders in Congress are promising to have a long-term fiscal year budget by March 22nd, but first they're holding votes on a stopgap plan, and they only have the end of Friday to avoid a partial government shutdown. As Amy Kiley has more.
It looks like segments of the federal government won't shut down this weekend after all. Leaders say they agree on a continuing resolution. But that's not the biggest budget news in Washington.
This is for the process to allow us to honor the rules and not jam people with a large piece of legislation they haven't had a chance to review.
Top congressional leaders say they'll hold votes on 6 long-term appropriations bills next week. Here are some of the government agencies that legislation affects. The CR keeps them open through March 8th. Leaders say they're still finalizing another 6 bills covering the rest of government. The CR gives them until March 22nd for those. Some lawmakers say it's about time the country had a fiscal year plan.
This is stupid. This ridiculous back and forth about nothing. I mean, this was supposed to be done in September.
Voters are shaking their heads, wondering what in God's name we are doing.
We should be dealing with issues that are meaningful to American families immediately.
The budget news comes the same day as another high-profile announcement. The longest-serving party leader in Senate history is giving up his title.
This will be my last term as Republican leader of the Senate.
Minority Leader Mitch McConnell says he'll still be a senator, but he says it's time for the next generation of leaders.
I yield the floor.
I'm Amy Kiley reporting.
The Biden administration announced Thursday it would delay a key part of its signature climate plan until after the presidential election. The Environmental Protection Agency said it will move forward with finalizing standards to cut emissions from existing coal and new natural gas plants this spring. However, the EPA said it will cut existing gas plants out of the proposed regulation and begin to work immediately on separate rules for existing gas plants. EPA Administrator Michael Regan said in a statement the move would achieve greater emission reductions than the current proposal, and because it would focus on a bigger range of pollutants and air toxics. But the process to propose and enact new federal regulations is lengthy, and a new rule would not be done in time before the November election. Both President Joe Biden and former President Donald Trump traveled to the U.S.-Mexico border Thursday. Immigration remains a key issue in the 2024 presidential race. Mike Valerio explains.
Nice weather, beautiful day, but a very dangerous border. We're going to take care of it.
In a remarkable moment, a current and former president visited different sectors of the U.S. southern border on Thursday, highlighting a central issue of the 2024 presidential race, border security and surges of migration.
Instead of playing politics with the issue, why don't we just get together and get it done? Let's remember who the heck we work for. We work for the American people, not the Democratic Party, the Republican Party. We work for the American people. And let's remember who we are. We're the United States of America.
Former President Donald Trump traveled to Eagle Pass, a flashpoint in the border security standoff between Texas and the federal government. It's where Republican Governor Greg Abbott had the National Guard install razor wire and physical barriers, bypassing federal authority.
The United States is being overrun by the Biden migrant crime. It's a new form of vicious violation to our country.
Trump has made Biden's handling of illegal immigration a centerpiece of his re-election effort. Yet after Republicans tanked a bipartisan border deal in early February, largely due to opposition from Trump, the Biden campaign has a potential new angle.
What House Republicans have done is nothing. Absolutely nothing. If anything, they consistently get in the way.
Biden's Brownsville visit comes as he considers new executive action to restrict migrants' ability to seek asylum at the southern border if they crossed illegally. The action under consideration appears to be an extension of some of the toughest measures in the failed border bill. I'm Mike Valerio reporting.
The report says the number of deaths from excessive alcohol spiked during the pandemic. That's according to a new report from the CDC published Thursday. It says an average of 488 deaths per day were due to excessive drinking. The increase in deaths related to excessive alcohol were most prevalent in men, but the increase was even larger for women. The CDC looked at deaths related directly to excessive drinking, like alcohol poisoning, crashes and falls, and indirectly like cancer, heart disease, and stroke. The report says more permissive policies allowed alcohol deliveries during the pandemic. That's in addition to stress, loneliness, social isolation, and mental health issues. Over 100,000 bottles of mouthwash are being recalled due to a potential poisoning risk for children. The Consumer Product Safety Commission says Heritage Store hydrogen peroxide mouthwash lacks child-resistant packaging, which is required for products containing certain levels of ethanol. Wintermint and eucalyptus mint are both flavors included in that recall. No injuries have been reported, and the manufacturer is offering refunds or replacements. As Nebraskans get ready for the primary vote in May, the Secretary of State is letting voters know about the new voter ID law. This letter is seen as an example of what Nebraskan voters without a photo ID should be on the lookout for. Around 35,000 of these letters will be sent out to voters without an identification card. Acceptable forms of IDs include Nebraska state IDs and driver's licenses, a passport, military and tribal IDs, Nebraska college or university ID, hospital or nursing home record, and a political subdivision ID. Identification that has no photo on it, like birth certificates, Medicaid or Medicare cards, and out-of-state driver's licenses and college IDs will not be accepted. Secretary Bob Evans says that the envelopes are a part of a plan to reach out to voters not aware of the new ID law and ensure the misimplementation will be successful. Reports that Governor Jim Pillen is threatening a special session out of the legislature if needed to pass his plan for major property tax relief. One key part of that plan continues to run into roadblocks. Pillen wants to hike the state's cigarette tax in a big way. NCN's Joe Jordan has a report.
There's not much, if any, debate on the health hazards of smoking, but that's not the case when it comes to taxing cigarettes. Governor Jim Pillen entered office with the goal of cutting taxes. It says so on the front page of his website, but not when it comes to those cigarettes.
We can add $2. We charge 64 cents. If we charge $2.64, that ranks us number 14 in the country on taxing cigarettes.
But Pillen's getting pushback from his own side. Two key conservative groups, Americans for Prosperity and the Platt Institute, opposing Pillen's plan to hike cigarette taxes. According to the Platt, a steep increase in the cigarette tax would hurt lower-income smokers, harm licensed retailers, spur increased law enforcement expenditures, and prove unreliable in order to cut property taxes.
I was so addicted to nicotine.
There's no mention of health issues.
I quit smoking. I became more conscious of how valuable and precious life is. I'm not going to increase my odds of ever having another stroke. And smoking is the worst thing I've ever done.
But Pillen has seized on those health problems.
I'm about health care. I'm about improving health care in Nebraska. So I'm a big advocate of taxing tobacco. It will raise $120, $130 million more for property tax relief.
There's already talk inside the Capitol of Pillen's $2 a pack tax dropping. But if it does, that's less money toward his promise to cut property taxes by 40%. In Omaha, Joe Jordan, News Channel, Nebraska.
March is National Women's History Month, and it's a time to honor all the strong and courageous women who came before us, paving the way and opening doors. Visionaries such as Sojourner Truth, Louisa May Alcott, Susan B. Anthony, Coretta Scott King, and Rosa Parks, and thousands more who played prominent roles in getting women to where they are today. You can keep carrying the torch onward by taking the time to learn more about women's history and appreciating the strength and determination of females across the country over hundreds of years. The National Women's Party, a political group dedicated to women's suffrage, the first major suffragist parade in Washington, D.C., Title IX and Equal Rights Amendment all came to be during the month of March. The month might be a random coincidence, but seeing as how demonstrations and public displays were an integral part of the women's suffrage movement, March certainly seems to fit. More news next. You're watching News Channel Nebraska.